guys, here we are again, ready for another exciting video tutorial, and it's my pleasure to have designed a little fabric box for you. We've got a little tutorial to come. Hopefully it's really clear, easy for you to follow, but you get to make really cute little fabric boxes like this. Isn't that sweet? And it is reversible and it's easy, okay? So our fabric boxes, really useful for storing all the little bits and bobs we have by the sewing machine, or you could have some on your dressing table with your makeup in. Nice for little gifts, put some chocolate in there, some nail varnish, whatever you like really. Really handy little box, nice and easy. Okay, so you're going to practice your cutting fabric. You're going to practice your seams. You're going to learn how to make a fully lined reversible object, and it's just really good sewing practice, and it's fun more importantly, and you'll get a really sweet little box, and you're going to need to make more than one. You can make all the boxes. So here are the supplies you're going to need to gather together. It's the usual suspects, of course: rotary cutter, nice ruler, a couple of pairs of scissors, a biro, and your pincushion. You may have 3 new ones by now, who knows? There you go, a couple of pins, and then the best bit, you're going to choose your fabric. So you need 2 pretty bits for the lining and 2 pretty bits for the outside of your fabric basket. Your basket will be completely reversible, so both are important. You can see both, as you've seen already. This is patchwork fabric, cotton fabric. You could use anything actually. You'd have harder work with the seams on upholstery fabric, but anything you've got will be good. If it's flimsy, you want to add a stabilizer, something like an interfacing, or if you want to make the boxes bigger, you're definitely going to need to stabilize them, because as you've seen, it's quite soft, which is part of its charm. But if you want to be bigger, then you will need more structure to it. So I've got 2 pretty bits. They are 6 by 8 inches for the size of the box we're making, and I've got 2 of each, of course. And our first thing to do is to put them pretty sides together in their pairs, so the same fabrics together, and we are going to take them to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam. If you do a bigger seam, you're just going to get a smaller box, and if you do a bigger seam on one, make sure you do it on the other, because of course they fit inside each other. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch 1/4 inch away down this side, right across the bottom and up to the top, and we're going to leave this open on both of them, so you're going to make a matching pair. So sewing machine next. At the sewing machine, I have kept my thread this neutral cream colour, because I wanted you to actually, you know, it's a tutorial, I want you to see what I'm stitching. You will use one that sort of blends in with your fabric. Okay, and I've just got my ordinary 1/4 inch sewing foot on, feed dogs up, trusty pincushion. So 1/4 inch ish. There you go. If you can sew and keep, when you stop sewing, the needle stays in your fabric. That will help you when we come to pivot at the corner. But if you haven't got one, don't worry, I'll show you how you can lower your needle. And we're just going to do nice small stitches, and we're going to do some back stitches at the start, just so that we doesn't unravel as soon as we get going. You go, so just slow and steady all the way down, and you're going to do exactly the same as this on the fabric pair for the lining as well. Okay, so we're going to go all the way down, and we need to stop about 1/4 inch away from here, which is always a bit of trial and error. So you see I've stopped and my needle stays in, which means that I can pivot at the corner. And now you can see, if I'm being fussy, which we will because I'm teaching you, I'm still a stitch or 2 shy of that edge. Okay, now if you haven't got the ability to stop sewing and your needle stays in the fabric, you just use the wheel on the side of your machine and you just manually lift the needle in and out a couple of stitches at a time, one stitch at a time. Let's call that close. And see, I told you I was being fussy. Here we go. Guide it through. Just go at your own pace, whatever you're comfortable with. It's not a race. Nice and easy. It's not a matter of great importance if it's not pinpoint accurate, because it's a little basket. It's not, you know, you're not matching seams or anything, but we do our best. Okay, there you go. Straight up. And again, when we get to the edge, the end, we are going to do a couple of back stitches just to be sure. Okay, nice and neat. Now, you know the rule, if you've sewn it, you press it. So these have been pressed, and I literally mean press, press, press with a nice hot iron. And then what you do, you leave them to cool without touching them, okay? Because what you're trying to do is actually set in your seams really, really nice, set your stitches in. If you press everything that you've sewn, you'll get a much flatter, more professional finish. So it's quite an important step to do. Okay, now the next thing we've got to do is we've got to find these corners, because we've got to make the flat base of our box. So you're going to have to put your hand inside, one finger inside, and sort of find that corner there. Okay, and then you're going to flatten, stretch it out. So you're making a nice sort of triangle. And what you want to do is have those seams sort of sitting on top of each other as nicely as you can. Don't worry about it. Right, so this seam is sitting towards the right. So my main fabric, I'm going to have the seam to the right. And that's important because when we do the lining fabric, I'm going to get the seam sitting towards the left that way. And then they're not going to sit on top of each other, and then your sewing machine doesn't have to sew through sort of 8 layers of fabric. Okay, so you've got yourself your triangle here, and we're going to stitch in 2 inches. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. You're going to feel all fingers and thumbs, but it'll be all right. Okay, now then, my ruler's a bit long, but you'll get the idea. So I'm going to measure 2 inches in from there, that top of my stitching. Okay, I'm trying to do it straight. Again, this is a little fabric box. It doesn't matter if it's on the slightly wonky side. Who's going to care? Okay, 2 inches. And then all I'm going to do is mark up that line, and that is the line that I'm going to have to sew on. Look, everything's in your way. Here we go. There. Now then, 2 inches, that's just a decision I made for the base of the box. It made it like a little square. You could take in less if you wanted, or you could take in more, but your box is getting tinier and tinier. So this is making our flat base. And I'm just going to pin these loosely in place here now, just for quickness of the video. And then what you've got to do, you've got to repeat it for the next one, and in your lining fabric do exactly the same, but try and get your seams on the lining fabric to be facing the opposite way to how they are in your main fabric. Okay, so they're pinned both sides. We've got these rather strange sort of shapes going on now, and all we're going to do is stitch on that drawn line. Okay, and keep those, everything is flat and as neat as we can. Again, don't worry about it, it's a fabric box. Just enjoy your sewing. And as long as you're doing the same, again, back stitch, as long as you're doing the same on the main fabric and the lining fabric so that they actually fit together, it won't matter. Okay, just do some seam, make sure everything's going as smoothly as you can get it. Give yourself a fighting chance. Okay, there we go. So you've got to do that on all of your corners. So 2 corners in your lining fabric and the 2 corners on your main fabric. And again, we're going to go straight to the iron and you're going to press. Press, don't touch it till it's cooled down. Okay, off to your irons. Okay, nice and pressed. The next step we've got to do is to cut these triangles off. I know, it seems really scary, doesn't it? But we can do it. It's only a little bit of fabric. Okay, so again, about 1/4 of an inch away from your stitched line. Just be brave, go for it. What can, what can possibly go wrong? Gone. Again on the other side. So now we have a lining box and a main fabric box and a little flat bottom there. Okay, do the same for the main fabric, and then we are going to put them inside each other, but of course we've got some ironing to do before we do that. Okay, trim away your triangles. Next step, you're going to turn your main fabric box the right way out. Now you want to pay attention to those corners that you've just so lovingly made. See, it's starting to look like a box. There you go, look, it's quite cute. Okay. So as I keep saying, the crisper you get all of your edges and your stitched lines, the more professional your box will look. Okay, now we're going to keep our lining bag this way because it's going to sit inside and we need to see the pretty bit. Okay, but first we've got these raw edges at the top that we need to deal with. So we're going again with the ironing. We are going to turn about 1/4 of an inch in like this, and we're going to press that in place. Now you can pin before you press if you like, it's up to you, but what you've got to do is watch those seams. Again, so about 1/4 of an inch in, and give everything a good press. Now this is a bit fiddly and I'm not sure how much you're going to see on camera, but I'll do my best to show you. So we're folding this raw edge in and then we're going to top stitch. So it's a little bit awkward, so I'm not sure how clear that is on the camera for you guys. About 1/4 of an inch, just press it. So you want that fold to stay where it is so that you can actually stitch them together nice and easily, top stitch them. So I'm going to do this all the way around this fabric, pretend I've finished all of that, and then with the lining fabric, of course that's inside, so you're going to want to go this way round. That one. Is that right? Yes, that's right, because then it goes in the box and you've got 2 nice folded edges together. Okay, so you're back to your iron. Sorry ladies. All nicely pressed, raw edges all nice and neat. Now you're going to put the inside bag, the lining, in. You're going to match those seams there. Don't worry about the inside sitting nicely too much at the moment. Just get those seams sitting nicely. I'm going to pin them there. Okay. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So you should have bulky seam for there for the main and a bulky seam there for the lining. If not, it's no great disaster. Okay, another pin. Right, and now we can work our way round. See how nice and neat that's going to look. And what you do is you just in here, and then you know you've sort of spread that ease. That is my cuckoo clock, which you're all becoming very familiar with. She just does that once on the half hour. Okay, you can put as many pins here. If you've got those wonder clips, you can use those. They're good. I don't mind a pin. All the way around. And then we are back to the sewing machine to do some top stitching, and then we are almost finished. Back at the machine. We go. Right, now I've got it all pinned together, nice and neat. Now, if your machine has got a nice sort of narrow, I don't know what you call it, throat, I guess, it's easier to have your fabric like your little box like this and to do your top stitching. But as you can see, mine's too thick, so I'm going to have the inside. I'm going to have to be working on the insides like this, which is absolutely fine. It's just a bit fiddlier. You're just going to have to keep this all out of the way. So again, I've used this cream thread so it shows up hopefully on the video for you, but you would normally use a matching thread. So foot down again, going to do about 1/4 inch away, and we're going to be really slow and steady here. Okay, and we're just going to sew those raw edges together. So you want to be, I said 1/4 inch, didn't I? You want to be a little bit meaner than that, because your seam's about 1/4 inch. Okay, all the way round, and then your box will be finished. Okay, just keep going all the way round, and it's finished. There you go. Your top stitching will look a lot nicer than mine because it won't be standing out quite as much. And I just wanted to show you how reversible it is. There you go. Look at that. Sweet little box. Okay, I do like the mustard inside though, I have to say. Okay, and it's finished like that, or you can roll the edges down, which looks quite sweet. It's a bit of a contrast. There you go. And now you get to fill it. These make really sweet little presents because you could just put a few little sewing supplies or some sweets or a couple of pieces of makeup in there, some nail varnish. A cute little box. This will settle itself down. You can make it look a lot neater than I am. And then you get to put some things in. And on the floor. There you go. Handy little box for all your bits. You're going to need to make lots, I'm sure. That's it. That is your fabric box. I hope you've enjoyed sewing along with me.